A river, by definition, is a flowing body of water that crosses land and generally stays in a channel. When you put a man-made structure on a river, like a dam, you interrupt that flow and it functionally is no longer a river.
The topic of free-flowing rivers and dam removal has gotten a lot of traction and attention in other parts of the country.
A historic agreement to remove dams along the Klamath River has been signed.
In the Southeast, you don't hear it talked about very much.
This places the river state not only because we have the rivers on our state seal, not only because we have 132,000 miles of rivers and streams, and 14% of all the fresh water flowing through this nation flows through this state, but because there's no other place in America that has this type of aquatic diversity.
Hello, the dock. Paddler coming in.
We've all grown up with the landscape as it is, with dams as part of our environment, and to date we haven't questioned them very much.
Most of the bodies of water that people refer to as lakes in Alabama are actually reservoirs. They've had a dam constructed to interrupt the flow of water and back that water up to benefit humans in some shape or form. We use them for recreation, boating and fishing, and skiing. We use them to generate hydropower. We use them to assist in navigation of goods and services. And one of the most important uses of water is for drinking water.
Most people in Alabama and the South are very aware of the benefits that we get from the lakes and the reservoirs. I don't think people are as aware as they are in other parts of the country about the impacts that the dams have had on our rivers.
Biologists consider the mass extinction that occurred after the damming of the Coosa River as one of the greatest man-caused extinction events in North American history. 36 species of snails went extinct, 36 species of snails. Some rivers don't even have 36 species of snails. We had 36 species of snails go extinct.
By changing the way that we have looked at our rivers and putting loafing streams to work, so to speak, we've really done a disservice to the life of these rivers. It has really cost us in terms of this diversity.
As a fish swims upstream and encounters a dam, it's essentially a vertical wall and a complete barrier to their movement.
When you have breaks and something that blocks that movement, the connectedness of the system makes it impossible for them to live out their life cycle. And a lot of the mussels that we have in this river, they all rely on a fish to carry their larvae around and find new habitat.
It's been dead for a while, and this animal is still alive. It's the elephant ear, and it's one of the more interesting animals here because all the animals that we find at this spot are between 45 and say 60 years old, and that corresponds back to about 1970 when the dams were put in place on the Alabama River.
One of the things that's very important for the mussels is they need the suitable habitat to live, but they also need fish to help them reproduce. What we call host fish carry the larval mussels for several weeks and several months at their time. If the movement of a fish is impacted and that fish can't get to the population of the parent mussels, then the mussels themselves have no ability to reproduce.
Service to humanity is important. It's valuable. It's a good thing, and we need to protect it for that reason. But these things exist, and I don't think we have a right to go around and obliterate an entire species just because it's a little more convenient. Not even a lot more convenient, and certainly not necessary to completely exterminate species. There's almost always a way around the harm that would completely exterminate a species. And so we need to be a little more thoughtful about the way we protect biodiversity.
There is, though, a few places left in this state that are extraordinarily special. The Cahaba River is one of them. It is the longest stretch of free-flowing river left in the state.
The life, the fine-scale life of the biology and the biodiversity of the Cahaba River was intimately connected with the Gulf via the Alabama River, and that connection was severed when those dams were constructed without having any kind of regular fish passage.
Without the dams in place, these fish would be making migratory runs hundreds and hundreds of miles, up to 350 miles inland.
In order for the Cahaba River to flow once again and for the fish within the system to move back and forth the way that they historically have, they're going to have to traverse the dam at Miller's Ferry and the dam at Claiborne. The Alabama River system, what they call the Alabama Lakes, is really a series of 3 dams. These lakes were built through the middle of the last century under the idea that really that we were going to be able to navigate up the river. And it's just proven to be virtually impossible to keep the Alabama River below those dams open for navigation. It's a natural sort of bending, winding southern stream that just likes to fill in where it's going to fill in, and keeping it open for navigation has proven to be extraordinarily expensive.
The only opportunity that the fish have currently to swim past the structures, because they can't go over the physical height of the dam through the turbines and over the gates, is they would have to use the navigation locks. The Nature Conservancy and partners have been asking the Corps for several years to provide conservation locking for fish, which is essentially opening and closing the navigation lock during peak periods of fish movements, and allow them to swim into the lock chamber and then pass through to the upstream side of the dam. We're doing this because there isn't a lot of use of the navigation lock by commercial traffic.
Human beings are, we focus on the obvious things, and when we see or think of a river, we think of the water moving up and downstream, and that's important. The connectedness to that water is important. But rivers move more than water. Rivers move sediment, and rivers move energy. I'm sitting on a sandstone rock here, and everybody that enjoys going down to the Gulf and playing on the beach relies on the erosion of this sandstone rock. This is the very sand that's going to make it to those beaches. Beaches erode away and build up, erode away and build up. And without a rather steady supply of new materials that rivers provide, then they're just going to waste away, and everybody's going to get all upset and say, my beach is gone.
One thing that I saw that was happening on a beach in Saudi Arabia were giant cliffs at the beach from lack of silt. So when you hold that silt back for decades or hundreds of years, you eventually have a decline of your beaches. So it serves multiple purposes to allow that river to flow.
There's a lot of reasons to be hopeful. Rivers are really resilient if we can get to them in time, if we can make the right decisions and reconnect them the way that they need to be. We're seeing it all over the nation. We're seeing it out in the Pacific Northwest with the white salmon and the Elwha rivers, and we're seeing it in the Northeast, where we're starting to see salmon and shad and Elwha run back up the rivers. So the rivers can reset if we let them. What they can't do is recover from extinction events, right? If we lose the species, we can't put them back.
So the Nature Conservancy has worked with partners to sort of analyze many rivers and streams across the Southeast and identify where there's a barrier or an obstruction on those streams that has the potential for being removed. One of those that was identified back in the 1990s and early 2000 was the Marvel Slab Dam on the Cahaba River. It was an abandoned structure built by a coal company to ferry coal and rock quarry products across the stream.
So I'm standing exactly where the center of the roadway was.
The Marble Slab was one of the first low-head dams removed in the state of Alabama for ecological purposes and benefits. Immediately after the Marble Slab low-head dam was removed, we saw movements of fish past the former site of the location. The snail population that improved included many of our rarest animals in the Cahaba and several that were protected under the Endangered Species Act.
Many of our rivers, at least the big rivers, the working rivers, are, for the foreseeable future, not going to be restored. They are still at work for our other uses. They are providing electricity, they're providing navigation. We just basically, in some ways, have to make peace with that.
One of the challenges when constructing a dam is to maintain the balance of all the uses of that water. Those that want to use the impounded water on the upstream of the dam, either for power production, recreation, drinking water, and those that want to maintain the flowing water aspects of that river, which include navigation, recreation, and just general ecosystem benefits.
Alabama in the past made a lot of management decisions with our waterways that favored people over wildlife, and we had a lot of wildlife losses. As we look at river management decisions, we certainly should be careful to not add to any inequity in impacts on people. And if there's solutions we can find that have more equitable outcomes for both people and freshwater wildlife, those are the solutions we should look for.
I think the biology is pretty settled on the value of restoring connectedness. The whole community needs to be involved in that kind of a decision.
And I think ultimately it becomes a math equation of what makes the most sense for everybody, including the power companies, the residents, and the life of the river.
Do we need those dams on the Alabama River when we definitely and desperately need to reconnect this river? And so those questions are starting to come out. Like, well, you have this national treasure. What are you, the people of Alabama, doing to preserve this? And how are you going to sort of live in harmony and be stewards of this going forward? And I think that's probably one of the critical questions that we're going to have to face at the state level. This is really our heritage. This is Alabama's heritage. This is the place that we grew up, where we learned to swim, where we play, and that should be special for us.